I am so glad you convinced me that the family car should be the Defender 110. It is so beautiful inside, it's so comfortable, and it just feels indestructible.
Yes, it really is. I've been waiting a long time for the new model to come out. The Defender 110, I'm telling you, it's my favorite car of all times. It's my third one. You know, I have stories of going off road. The guy managed the group. He was like, "What are you doing in this beautiful car?" I'm like, "I'm going off road." He's like, "Are you sure? Because you can use one of ours." And then they look like Mad Max cars. I'm like, "No, no, 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 we're going to do this." And he was shocked.
Wow. Well, it's great because the Defender has been reimagined for 21st century adventure, and its unparalleled off-road ability as well as its robust interior are invaluable whether you're headed towards uncharted territory or just a weekend of exploration. The Defender 110 tackles challenging surroundings with absolute confidence. The SUV conveys strength outside and in, featuring peerless technology like an intuitive driver display and an award-winning infotainment system. That's my favorite part, to keep you connected no matter where the journey takes you. Adventure is unique to everyone, and so is the Defender. Choose from the two-door Defender 90, the four-door Defender 110, or the larger Defender 130 with the ability to seat up to 8 passengers. You'll find uncompromising performance in all three. So pack up and go even further with the Defender 110. Learn more at LandRoverUSA.com/Defender.
These days, we're all investors, trying to be smart with our money despite our worst impulses. But at iShares, we believe that deep down inside of every investor is a better investor. One that's just waiting to be let out. Explore iShares ETFs and insights and let your best investor out. Visit iShares.com for more information.
This isn't your average business podcast, and he's not your average host. This is the James Altucher Show.
So, idea list of the day. They've been doing really well. Jay, what was the last idea list of the day one that we did?
I think it was the Japanese concept.
Oh, yeah. The 10 different Japanese concepts like ikigai and wabi-sabi, all this stuff. That was really fascinating, actually. Today, we're going to do 10 things to ignore in 2022 by Bill Bergemen. And Bill wrote this idea list on notepad.com, Notepd, no A, notepad.com without an A. And it's a place where it's sort of like Twitter, but add in all these, everybody's writing thousands of idea lists, and they're searching idea lists, and they're having idea sex with idea lists, meaning you take two lists and you combine them and create a new idea list, and on and on. There's so many great idea lists, and we're kind of featuring idea list of the day in these episodes, these sub-episodes.
Yeah, and also the difference between Notepad and Twitter is that Notepad is not owned by Elon Musk.
Right. Notepad is by the people, for the people. So
it's like Robin Hood.
So so I'm joined by Jay, Robin, Paulo, who is co-founder of Notepad, and let's do it. 10 Things to Ignore in 2022 by Bill Bergemen. First off, what does it mean to ignore it?
Well, I think ignore it is just like, I felt like it's hard to ignore because you have to acknowledge every news out there. Ignore it, just that you just don't read into the headline and click on the article. That's why
you're saying in this one case where if you ignore news.
Yeah. It's like, because if you look at news or if you need to read anything current, like the headline will pop up no matter what. And also, like, I do agree that the less you click on the headline that's related to the current news that you don't care about, I think Google algorithm would just show it less.
But Jay, let me ask you this, and all of you guys, from 2010 to March 2020, I didn't look at any news at all. I would never look at Google News. I would never look at any news website. I never picked up a newspaper. And during this time, actually, I would go on news shows. And people would say, how do you get informed? And my assumption is that you just kind of know what's going on. Like, even if you never read the news, you would know there was a war going on between Russia and Ukraine. Right. And you would know kind of the basics about it because everyone's talking about, people are only really talking about the stuff they remember and the most important parts. And then you have your opinion based on everything you already know. And better to read books on history of Russia and Ukraine so then you could comment on the war, not see the latest, like, oh, there was a bombing here, there was a bombing there. But in March 2020, I made the mistake of starting to read the news. Robin and I were doing these Instagram lives every day about how to interpret COVID stuff, and because there was so much misinformation in the news, which now we realize was all misinformation. Nobody knew anything, so it was good to have a different perspective. But then I started getting a little depressed reading the news. Like, it's really good. I agree with Bill here. He just says mainstream news. I say ignore all news and have an attention diet for, like, because we don't need, none of it will change your life. Knowing any piece of news none of it will change your life. And instead of that time, let's say the 45 minutes a day you read news, or the 2 hours a day you look at news, you could be doing so many other things. You could be reading a book. You could be spending time with loved ones. You could be, watching TV and having fun, playing games.
And also writing ideas on Notepad.
Exactly. So, Robin, Paul, what do you guys think?
I feel like I have to listen to some of the news just because when I trade stocks, I have to know what's going on.
Yeah, but I trade stocks, and the news. Look, I used to be a financial journalist in the Wall Street Journal. I could tell you more than anyone that none of those writers for those publications know anything. Like, if you listen to them,
I
you
don't
will
listen
know
to them.
Zero. But I'm not even saying their recommendations. Their news, their interpretation of earnings is always wrong.
I don't read that. I just look at what's going on in the world, and then I just make my own. Like, I think, okay, we're going into war. Okay, I need to get oil. I need to buy this. I need to do that. That's what I do.
So Robin, just look at the news in a more general terms.
Actually, I saw her in action, and so did actually everybody on Notepad. When Ukraine and Russia went to war, I didn't see you looking at news, but you started doing research right away. What commodities are in the Ukraine?
Right.
And you started buying all those because the supply was going to go down, and so the commodities were going to go up, like wheat. And
Right.
you had a doomsday portfolio. If you search for doomsday portfolio on Notepad, people will see all those stocks you recommended are up huge, and the market's down.
Right. So that's what I do. That's what I use the news for. It's just information.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't. What would you call that a news though?
Yeah, that's
I
not
feel
news.
like
That's like
news-
research.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to
but-
know what's going on in the world, so it is sort of news.
By definition, it's new information, right? So it can be
Right.
news.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
but you just had to read one headline that, okay, Russia and Ukraine are at war, and then you could have come up with the exact same doomsday portfolio doing research.
Right. So technically, Robin didn't really read news, but she get the information.
Yes, you did a lot of research, but I don't think none of the links you sent me were actual news. Some of them were very
no, I
in-depth
mean, I guess I
articles
just-
about commodities, but
Right. No, I go, I look at certain things and I just sort of take a world view of what's going on, a snapshot, and then I go from there.
yeah. All right, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. So I don't think that's considered mainstream news. So I think that's a little bit different.
What about you, Paul? Do you read the news?
None whatsoever. Yeah. I think there's a line, was it Mark Twain? If you don't read the news, you're uninformed. If you read
Wait.
the news, you're misinformed.
Aren't you the one that told me that Elon Musk about to finish the deal?
Yeah, but it's
I didn't
because
even
I'm
know
on
until-
Twitter, right?
That's what I mean. You
I
just
need to go into the
absorb.
belly of the enemy
Yeah.
to understand how it
Belly of the
works.
beast.
Yeah.
But that's just what I mean, though. You absorb the things anyway. Like, it's not as if he is holding his hand up and saying, "Oh no, that's news. I can't see it." Like, some news bubbles to the top, and you can't help but observe it. But
Right.
to actually, like, oh, here's my latest New York Times. Oh, here's some.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go on CNN.com.
Those are just opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it turns out that most of the news in the end, it's irrelevant, right? If you hadn't read it 1 year ago, what would be the difference?
Yeah,
Right.
like for instance, today, big news, Twitter's board okays the sale to Elon Musk. Twitter's going to sell to Elon Musk. How is this possibly going to affect any of our lives?
I'm going to make more money on my stock.
See,
Well, you
Robin
own-
is smart.
Wait, you own
I sh-
Twitter?
Yes.
I should
Okay,
have-
good for you.
I was thinking about buying Twitter like last week. I saw the news. I'm like, maybe I should buy it. And then I'm like, nah. I
I
don't
bought
want to-
more
I don't want to
today.
gamble
It's
it.
not too late.
I mean, I did bought a little bit, like very tiny amount.
It's only
Well,
going
I
to go
mean,
up from
what's
here.
but wait, what's it going to go up to though?
I don't know. It's been
It's
up
gonna
in
go
the
up
70s.
to 50.
Why would it go up in the
70s?
70s? He's going to buy
It
it for
has
54.
Right, but I'm just saying though, anything that he touches, it's sort of, I don't know, it's going to get a lot more attraction now for both sides. I think it's going to be
Yeah, but
more
I
centered.
think now trade has stopped because of the announcement, and by definition, the more information there is and the more certainty that the buyout is going to be at 54, then the
Right.
market price is going to go to 54, right?
Yeah,
and then
it'll
it's
only
going to
go
stop.
higher than 54 if someone else makes an offer, and that's possible. But also, if the deal falls apart, and Elon Musk is a very, remember he said he was going to take Tesla private, and then he didn't. If Elon Musk pulls out, the stock will go back to like $40.
Yeah, and that's actually
overnight.
interesting because the news now has been out for like a week or so, right? But the price a week ago was very far away. It was like 40 or something, which basically meant that the market had a lot of uncertainty about the deal going through, right? Which, of course, now it's not the case, right? Now the information is clear that the deal is going through. The price goes at 54. Otherwise, it would be clear sort of arbitrage opportunity, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now, okay, I think he's offering 54.
Yep.
And it's at 51.69 it closed at. So that's $2.30 you could make if you buy it now. And let's say the deal closes in 3 months, that's about I don't know, that's a good annualized return. So you could do an arbitrage here. You could buy it for 51.69 and then ultimately sell it to Elon Musk for 54 on the day the deal closes. And but the risk is it goes to 40.
Who would sell it now?
Well, you would sell it now if you felt nervous that the deal wasn't going to go through, or if you've been holding it since 40 and now you don't want to take the final $2 of risk when it could go back down to 40. It's actually trading for like a 20% annualized return right now. If you do the arbitrage play, not to get into the details of that. So it's an interesting play, but you have to have a lot of confidence that he's going to finish the deal or someone else is going to make an offer.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna finish the deal.
So, but the thing is, then is this something to ignore or not?
I think you ignore. Okay, if you're an investor, you only need to know the headline, and you need to know the buy price, and then you have to use your own research to determine what's the likelihood that he's going to buy it, and what's the likelihood that maybe someone else, is going to make an offer. And so then that's where you do need to know all this stuff if you're going to play the stock. But in terms of your daily life, it doesn't change anything.
No.
It doesn't. That's why I don't get why people are crying over on the Twitter like, oh yeah, my freedom of speech is
But
going to be
it's
taken
clearly
away.
for the politics of it, right?
Oh yeah,
It's,
that's why. Yeah,
that's the only reason why people care.
Controversial.
But
Yeah.
like even like let's say he's alt right and the former owners were alt left. Yes, on the fringes, some tweets get censored or you can't see them anymore. But I barely even look at the feed during the day anyway. I barely look at it. So how's it going to affect our lives one way or the other? And by the way, he's not alt right as far as we know.
He's not,
He's kind of in the center.
he is in the center. That's
Yeah,
why
but
people
of
doesn't
course,
like it.
it's not going to affect us, but it affects the people that are complaining, right? There's always there's the idea by Nassim Taleb that there's a vocal minority, right? You just need a small vocal minority who's not willing to change their mind, and they're going to make a difference nonetheless, right? So that's why it seems like, everyone is dying because of it, but it's just a few people who like to tweet a lot.
What would happen if he just dismantled it?
He's not going to
Where
do it.
would
though.
everyone go? No, I know, but I'm just saying that where would everyone go?
Notepad, obviously.
Notepad, we'll take in everyone.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Who else gonna go? Well, I do think that like some news company gonna get affected on Twitter because that's their bread and butter. That's why I think they are nervous about it. Most people that cry.
But why?
Journalists.
Why would they're not going to get censored? He's not going to censor anybody.
No, that's why, because that's the whole point on news is about like competing with other news outlet. If other news outlet got censored, they win. They get more money. So if
I
they're
see. So
not
you're
censored-
saying like the big news companies, will be threatened by, let's say, the Alex Joneses of the world who will no longer be censored on Twitter.
Yes.
Okay,
You know, they will lose part of their market share.
I think what Musk is probably going to do with Twitter is change the algorithm to be more TikTok-like. So if you remember on the podcast, Mark Cuban was saying how TikTok got the best algorithm, and he described it a little bit. And they very quickly, if a tweet or if a TikTok video gets more usage than statistically the average video gets, it gets pushed in front of everybody. So I bet you Elon Musk will start changing the Twitter algorithm to be more like the TikTok algorithm. So you could start seeing tweets that are not from your the people you follow, but also trending the tweets that are trending very quickly upwards.
Right. I mean, this.
So it'll value quality content more.
Yeah, and also I do like the idea of him. Like, I wish that he would bring back a page focused on who gets shadow banned and who got banned. You know, like so you would know. It's more transparency that way. Like you.
But he's not going to ban anyone. He's not going to shadow ban anyone.
No,
He's totally against censorship.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
this is why it's not going to change my life at all, or anybody's life that I know.
And also, Twitter is like a private company anyway.
It is
a
a private
company in terms of like, you know, people are running it. It's not owned by government or whatever. So it's not going to change anyone's life. Anyway, what else should we ignore in 2022?
Oh, right. So this guy did say whatever Elon Musk is doing, we should ignore. That's his number 9. Because his point is that, okay, the guy announces things and everyone goes crazy, like buy GameStop stock.
Yep.
And then they,
Dogecoin.
And Dogecoin, like whatever. But I do agree with that nothing Elon Musk has done to date has changed my life at all. Now, he does say ignore everything Kim Kardashian is doing.
I agree with that.
I am not so sure.
Really? I mean,
That is
why,
so boring.
Why do we need to know what Kim Kardashian is doing?
It's because it affects the music of Kanye West.
Yes.
That's the big
You know,
problem.
they broke up.
Yeah, that's why it affects his music.
Yeah,
Right?
Kanye
Now
West
he just
better music now.
sings songs about Jesus.
Yeah, Kanye West is like an OCD and bipolar. So whatever's happening in his life gets magnified in his music. And okay, the guy, by the way, interestingly, this is related to Twitter because that's Snoop Dogg wanted to be the CEO of Twitter. Kanye West wanted to be president. But, Kanye is a very creative producer. So it's always interesting to see what his next genre of music or generation of music is like. But okay, some gossip I find to be kind of funny, but you're right. It's probably not worth knowing about.
Yeah, because
Boring.
unless you really care about Pete Davidson.
I don't actually.
Exactly. Then you don't have to care about Kim Kardashian's.
Okay, here's another one. The U.S. midterm elections. I totally agree with this guy on this, with Bill. That why do we care about okay, maybe Congress or Senate goes from Democrat to Republican or whatever, which just means less will get done. And I think history has shown that the most successful periods in the American economy is when the president is of a different party than Congress. So either way, it probably doesn't affect us at all. Like if you think about what actions in Congress, well, it's hard to say that during COVID because they shut down the entire economy. So, but other than that, what does Congress ever do that changes your life?
I mean, definitely not mine.
I mean, although by definition, your argument doesn't stand because we just have protected the economy and everything, right? So it just needs to be right once, and it was right now. So, yeah.
Okay, but his point is though, there's nothing we could do about it. So
yes, that's true, yeah.
So that's the other thing is not only will most things not affect your life, but even when they do, there's very little we could do about it except find the loopholes if you were so inclined. Oh my gosh, I love these clothes. Mizzen and Main, that's Mizzen and Main. It really is the most comfortable work clothes. Travel clothes. I had to travel this whole week. I'm traveling for a week and a half, and I just took Mizzen and Main clothes with me. Close out 2023 in style with comfortable, breathable, packable, and machine washable pieces from Mizzen and Main.
As you wrap up your year-end goals, enjoy a Mizzen and Main dress shirt that you can wear confidently. I like that they've very, very just nice, solid colors. I don't really like to get all fancy in patterns and everything, although they do have some pattern shirts, but very comfortable clothes, stretchable pants. It's just super comfortable, but they look professional and you can wear them casually or professionally. I like some of their flannel shirts or untuck shirts. I love untuck. I never tuck in. So again, whether you're shopping for a special someone or giving yourself the gift you really want, I just buy myself gifts. Mizzen and Main is the perfect gift for any guy who works, travels, and or cares about looking and feeling great. As you could tell by my many photos across the internet, I care about looking fantastic. I'm practically a model. And let's be honest, every guy loves to look great. So again, shop now at mizzenandmain.com and save 20% when you spend $130 or more using promo code James. That's promo code James at Mizzen and Main, Mizzen and Main.com. You know what I love about fantasy sports is that even though I'm not going to be a great basketball player or a baseball player or a football player or whatever, I feel like I get to participate and make decisions and use my knowledge of these different leagues or these different sports to compete. So it's like I can pick my team or I can pick my favorite players and I could use my knowledge to make predictions and maybe even make money. So with the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League on Prize Picks. This is a league created specifically for combo projections that include two or more players from different sports or leagues. Want to play alongside some of Prize Picks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz, who's also been a guest on this podcast, and I've been a guest on his? You can now find community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries for some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Look, Prize Picks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For football and basketball games, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. What? So I love playing it. I love anywhere where I can use analytical ability with my interests to demonstrate some skill and maybe make some money. And I like the game-like aspect. I do wish they had chess as a category on prizepicks.com, but I'll settle for what they've got. Maybe I should make my own fantasy chess league. But in any case, I love Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/James. Use code James for a first deposit match up to $100. That's the easiest $100 you're ever going to make. So that's prizepicks.com/James and use code James. Daily fantasy sports made easy. You know, the other thing I want to say about news is that whenever there's a period in my life where other people are writing about me for whatever reason, there's 100% like untruths in there. I don't want to say outright lies because that sounds malicious, but 100% of the time, whenever an article mentions me, there's something that is completely not true in the article. And so I just wonder if that occurs to me, it's got to occur in basically almost every other article out there, unless I'm special, which I'm not.
There's a cognitive bias for this. It's called the Gelman amnesia effect. And the idea is that if you read I have a PhD in physics. If I read about physics and it's an article on the, Washington Post, I read it and I say, oh my God, this makes no sense whatsoever, right? They're saying things completely wrong, right? But if I read an article about, foreign politics and I say, oh, wow, so interesting. But of course, someone who knows that topic is going to read about it and clearly say, oh, that's bullshit. Right. So it's always that.
Yeah.
It's always everything is bullshit.
So it's true.
That's
like
true.
there's really no reliable piece of news except when you do your own research, as Robin did when she put together her doomsday portfolio. And then you feel confident enough to put your money where your mouth is, as she did. What else would you ignore? And this is not just for 2022. This is for life in general. Like, what other things do you ignore? Like, forget this list for a second.
I mean, for me, it's just news, like literally just news that I would ignore.
I ignore most advice. Like, if someone gives me investment advice, I'm not going to listen.
What do I ignore? I don't know. What do I ignore? I felt like I'm very gullible. I just listen to everything.
See, I'm gullible too, which is why I tell myself in advance not to listen to things people tell me, because I'll just believe whatever
I
people
think the
tell me.
advice thing you mentioned, it's actually very interesting because I'm the same. I avoid most advice, but I seek a lot of advice. I always ask people for advice, but then I mostly ignore it. But I always think that, maybe I'm just thinking about things in one way and I'm not looking at some possibility or option that they may bring up. So I always like to ask for a lot of advice because I want to see other people's point of view on things.
And perspective, yeah, that's true.
Right? Are you also like looking for advice that you agree on, though? That's the
No,
that's the
usually not.
question.
I mean,
because
there's.
sometimes you
I
ask
mean,
for
that's
like,
normal, right? People
you know?
just want to be
Yeah.
told that they're right? I think that's just normal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but it's interesting though. Like, most advice people give, you could also find someone you equally respect who gives the opposite advice. Like, one person will say, eat meat primarily, and another person will say, eat fruit primarily. And they're both smart people who maybe are dietitians for all we know, and they're both giving equally powerful advice. So that's why it's hard to like think of advice someone could give you that you haven't heard the exact opposite somewhere.
That's why I feel like it's good to like understand your own feelings and your own gut feeling with things.
Yeah.
I think it's super important.
Like let's say someone, like, okay, let's just take though a classic piece of advice, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but we've done a bunch of podcasts about the 4 agreements. The first agreement is always be impeccable with your word.
Right.
So I could think of people saying, well, listen, don't always be like, in business, for instance, a lot of people say under promise and over deliver. I don't agree with that, but that's not being impeccable with your word, for instance. And yet people are very serious about giving that advice, under promise and over deliver. That is in direct conflict with be impeccable with your word.
Yeah, I mean, they're not true, rules of nature. It's just words that people came up with. So there's no underlying truth to any of those. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so you
mean,
just kind of have to decide in the situation.
Yeah, and also like human aren't born with manual, so like we don't know who has the best advice out there, and and also like advice is like relationship. It has to be at the right time, right place, and
And for the right person too, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and then this person says, and by the way, I kind of agree with this, even though it goes again. You might not think I agree with this, but his number one thing of 10 things to ignore in 2022 is cryptocurrency. And the part of me that agrees with that is that if you're not going to invest in cryptocurrency, you shouldn't read about it or know anything about it at all, because only like 1% of the transactions in the world or less are being done with cryptocurrencies. So why do we need to know about it? Now, if you're looking at it as a long-term investment, maybe you start to research it and so on. Like, you could choose to research it, but he's choosing to ignore it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
right, I felt like even though if you're investing in it, you shouldn't pay too much attention about it.
Yeah.
You could you could still read into it a little bit, but like reading into like cryptocurrency or anything that you're investing in, it's very very tiring, which I experienced firsthand 2 years ago. So I'm like, the world is, we close out our economy. Now I'm going to try to do in crypto. I read a bunch of different things. And like you said, like all their advice is everywhere, because someone said this is the best, someone said this is the worst. So like if you're invested in cryptocurrency and you really believe in that one or two coin, you shouldn't be reading too much about the whole industry.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like for instance, I own Ethereum. Probably only once a week will I check what the price is, and I shouldn't even do that. Like, you shouldn't really, when I first was owning stocks like 20, 25 years ago, I would refresh Yahoo Finance every second just to see where my stock's going, because you had to refresh then. And now, and I realized and when I was day trading, I mean, that's what I did for a living, was basically look at every tick of every stock, and it was just such a waste of time.
But then that's also the difference even for crypto, right? Depends if someone, owns crypto to hold it for the long term, or if they're doing day trading. If
Right.
you're doing day trading, you cannot help but inform yourself and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how you're gonna make the money. So it's if you're just
Right.
getting Bitcoin, hoping that the value will be still up in 10 years, then of course it's completely different. But that doesn't
Yeah.
make it
Like-
useless to be informed, right?
Like Warren Buffett always says, the best investment now is if you think a company is going to be around 20 years from now, it's a good investment now. And so you don't have to, I mean, when I was, this is why I stopped day trading, because I got sick of looking at things like every second or every day, or it was just awful.
Yeah, it's so bad for your health too. Like just sit on your chair, and then you're gonna get fat.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not fat shaming, but just be healthy and walk around. Don't buy standing desk. Standing desk is a fake.
Is it really?
Just joking.
Are you giving advice?
Yeah. Well, because like I hate it because I was an IT person in some digital marketing company, and I have to set 10 a day, and then I set it, and then 2 months later they stop using it. It's wasted my energies, and they're pretty heavy too.
Yeah.
All those people.
Yeah. Did you get in better shape with a standing desk?
I mean, they are not. They still sit on their fat ass all the time.
Well, you could get a bicycle.
I mean, bicycle is good. Or the treadmill,
While you're
like the
doing-
Ben,
like-
the
like you're-
Ben Greenfield had one. Those are good. Like if they stand and walk at the same time.
Yeah, you
that would
can
be good.
write an idea list, 10 ideas for Peloton.
Yeah.
They can use it.
Peloton.
I think we got to write 10
Elon
ideas
Musk.
for Elon Musk on Twitter also. We've got a
Yeah.
couple. So
Yeah.
so what else do you choose to ignore, or are you choosing to ignore?
I just did this recently. Paolo's gonna be disappointed in me. I choose to ignore my calorie intakes.
Your calorie intakes?
Yeah, because I got starved way too much.
Okay, so I'm going to give you
I'm
two.
just-
I'm going to give you two pieces of advice.
Uh-huh.
The only thing that determines weight gain or weight loss is calories consumed versus calories burned. Like that's the only thing. But
Right.
on the other side, good calories are different than bad calories in terms of health.
Yes.
So I just gave you two exact pieces of advice that are probably both equally good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I have to
equally
ignore my
bad.
Captain Crunch.
Or equally bad. Yeah. Like so like if you want to lose a lot of weight, you starve yourself. But if you want to be healthy, I don't even know what a healthy diet is because there's all sorts of advice on that.
Yeah.
I have to ignore my Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch.
Oh yeah, and by the way, for the first time in like 45 years maybe, I had some Captain Crunch because Robin got Captain Crunch. And
Are they good?
They're really good, but I haven't had them in 45 years because my father banned Captain Crunch from my house when I was a kid. Because he said
What?
he literally said to me, "This will rot your brain," as he was pouring it into the garbage, and I was in shock. Like I loved it, and he was just pouring it in there, like He took the Fruit Loops, the Captain Crunch, and Sugar Pops. It was called Sugar Pops then. Now it's called Corn Pops, and he
Right.
poured it all away. And he says, "This will rot your brain if you eat this stuff."
See, if I am a Michael Bay and making James biography a movie one day, that scene's gonna be epic.
But wait,
when he's gonna pour it, and then Hans Zimmer's writing the scores, and then there's explosion everywhere.
yeah, doesn't somebody have to like? Don't aliens have to crash through the roof then, and
Yes,
and then
only
grab me and take me to
Yeah, and-
space?
and it only happen in U.S. No other country. Only happen in the United States.
All right, I'm
But
in.
yeah, but I have to say I never have Captain Crunch in my life before.
Well,
Don't start.
Okay, yes,
start
that's a good
because it's
advice.
excellent. I'm just giving the opposite advice, and it probably won't hurt your brain as much as my dad thought it would anyway. So
Yes.
that's pretty much determined what your brain is. Although I don't know, whether you are good at making decisions or not is related to how much sleep you have prior nights and what kind of food you eat, I guess, and your stress levels. So maybe it'll affect you. I don't know. But everybody else should write their list of things that we should ignore over the next year. And this list was called 10 Things to Ignore in 2022 by Bill Bergemen. And he posted it on Notepad, notepd.com. And it was an interesting list. It's got almost 5,000 views, six comments, and that's it. Stay tuned for the next idea list of the day. Unless, is there anything else you guys want to add? Anything else you're ignoring? Maybe you're ignoring me.
Yeah, the end of the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I will
Yes.
ignore James in 2022. Okay, thanks a lot, you guys.
Okay.
All right, thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks.
Bye.